we have Christian Shalk, Product Manager at AppSheet in Workspace at Google. Christian will guide us through the process of building no-code mobile and web apps with Google AppSheet.
Oh, nice. Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. All right. So my name is Christian Shalk. I'm an AppSheet product manager, and I'll be talking today. I'll be mostly demoing, and unfortunately, I don't have my little lavalier, and so I'll just have to speak loudly. But if we get into Q&A, I'll make sure to have the mic handy. My presentation is mostly demo, so I'm just going to dive right into stuff. I might have to cut things a little bit short because we got off to a late start already, so we'll see how things work out. All right. Like the time when the power went out in Singapore. So I've known him forever, and we were both presenting in Singapore a long time ago, and the power went out the entire city or whatever. He held up my laptop while I was talking. So anyway, side note. So anyway, just to kind of throw a few slides at you. So again, the topic here is AppSheet. AppSheet is a no-code technology. It was acquired by Google in January 2020. I've joined the AppSheet team later, actually not that long ago, about a year and a half ago. But I've been working on no-code and low-code technologies for almost half of my career, literally, and I'm not even going to tell you the math on that. But anyway, I put this quote up here just to kind of put the point out that someone actually working with, or former CEO of GitHub, was actually, very bullish on no code. I don't fully believe that statement, but I do feel that no code and low code technology is a very important technology that obviously enterprises are looking into. The analyst community are now taking note of it. There is a growing market opportunity as no-code and low-code technologies are in the tens of billions, and the growth rate looks quite good. Do I think that no-code and low-code is going to replace traditional IT? Definitely not. But I do see the importance of it playing a stronger complementary role to traditional software development in IT shops. And I know this through direct experience. I actually worked on one of the earlier low-code technologies here at Google and in our corporate IT department. And we had just tons of use cases that kept showing up on the doorstep. And so we started building out low-code technologies. And over time, we got a good level of experience with it. And so that's what we did. And then we acquired AppSheet, which was like a true no-code. And over the last 2.5 years, we've been gradually evolving AppSheet in a number of different features that better support workspace and cloud in general. So what we have today is a far cry from what AppSheet was back when it was acquired back in 2020, but it's some really cool stuff. So I'll be showing you all the latest integration with Workspace. I'll show you even like the Duet AI stuff, and so I'll try to make sure that I have time to show the Duet AI stuff. So anyway, let me just jump right into some things. If you haven't heard of AppSheet, this is a pretty decent slide to kind of get you started. It's essentially a technology that allows you, or really most anyone, and I wouldn't say purely non-technical people, but I would say people who are like subject matter experts who have their own data that they need to manage. So in this sense, you can see that if you start with an idea or specifically data, you can take that data and immediately generate an app. And then you can go into a very iterative approach where you can customize the behaviors, the actions, the overall UI, and share with users. And it's a very agile technology in that sense. You can continuously update the application. And with unprecedented speed to develop. Now, as I mentioned, AppSheet was acquired, but over the last 1.5 years or so, we have been working to integrate it with a number of Google technologies. Most importantly, like the workspace technologies, because we're kind of like attached at the hip with Workspace, but we're also kind of part of the cloud organization. So it's an interesting, how it's evolved. But some of the key things that I'll be talking about today is that we have like a number of integrations, such as chat integration. We have integration with SmartShip that we just rolled out yesterday. So meaning like you could actually take a component of your app, like a view, and paste it into a Google Doc, and then it will render a portion of your application directly into Google Docs. So that's really cool. We got a lot of positive buzz on that. Earlier in 2022, we launched our AMP support or Gmail support. Basically, we can have a component of your app embedded inside of a Gmail inbox. And I won't go through all those lists, but it's been a very busy last few years of providing the integration. Oh, AppScript as well. I'm an old AppScript developer as well, so I was very pushing hard on getting the AppScript integration so that you can actually call AppScript from an AppSheet application. All right. So without further ado, I'm just going to switch over into demo land. And if you want to hold my mic, Wes, you're more than welcome to. Someone should get a picture of this too. Okay. So let's see. What I'm going to do is switch over to. Let me adjust the mic. There we go. Adjust the Wes. There we go. No. Anyway, so what we're looking at is a basic database, right? It's just a Google Sheet, but it could be a SQL database. It could be BigQuery. It could be Excel. So AppSheet is pretty friendly. It's agnostic to many data sources. So there's a couple ways that I could get started. I could build an app by going to the appsheet.com homepage, and that'll take us to this starter page here where I can see we have apps and databases and such. So in this case, if I wanted to create a new app, I could click Create, and I can start with some existing data or even try a couple different things here. Now, if I start with existing data, then I can just point the application to my Google Sheets, for example, and then I could just select one of these. But I'm going to show you another way to do it. So in this case, I can just go to the data itself. So this is some relational data inside of a spreadsheet. And so as you can see, it's kind of like geared towards doing like building requests by employees, so basically submitting tickets to do stuff in various buildings. And so in this sense, they are related in the sense that there is a column here, building, which refers to a set of rows in another table or another tab of the spreadsheet. Now AppSheet, once I generate the app, it will recognize these relationships and build relational tables between them. All right, so let's just go ahead and do that. I'll click on Extensions, click AppSheet, create an app. And so now we're handing it off to AppSheet. AppSheet is looking at the data in the spreadsheet, and it will give us essentially an app that's ready to run out of the box. So now we're looking at the AppSheet environment. On the left side, we have our navigator with different things, like we have data, views, actions, and so I'll walk through some of those features as long as I have enough time. And then it gave us over here, we have a preview window, so I can open it up to tablet form, or I can also even pop it open into desktop format. So we have these, basically it's very flexible. Later on, if I have time, I can show you how chat is integrated. So I could actually have a chat interfacing with the same data. All right. So now that I built the app, I can start to play with it a little bit. So first off, we just have this one requests table. If you notice, there's a building column, which is just text. And so what we really want to do is pull in the buildings table. And so to do that, I just click on the plus icon there, and I'm going to add the table building. And it knows this because AppSheet noticed that there was a tab there named building. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell it how I want to interact with the data, and I'll click add this table. And so now we have two tables. And if I go back here to my request table, I can see now that the building column is now of type ref. And so all that means is that it's referring, or it's a relationship, to the building table. So pretty easy to set up these relations, right? So I've set up a relations here. I can go through and I can see also there is a list type of, essentially it's a virtual column, which has a what's called a ref row. Essentially, it's a join to pull these data together. And then it automatically pulls the data together. So I can click on a building or a request, and I can drill down on all the related records in that sense. All right? So pretty basic stuff. So now if I wanted to do a few updates, I can drop into the UI part, and I can see that I have like two views that are just kind of like traditional. I have this like statistics view that shows up here. Maybe I don't want this here. I can just take the statistics and put it into the menu. I see that there's a map view here. This is just giving us a map view default by virtue of having addresses in the data. So in this case, I have map. It's going off of the buildings data, so maybe I'll just, well, I'm going to save myself some time and not type anything. So I have these tables. I'm going to add one more table here. I'll just click on, I'll just say add a histogram, but I'm not really going to have a histogram. I'm going to make it a table for buildings. And I don't need to aggregate any data in this case. And then I will do a few more things. I'll change the icon. I'll just grab one of the icons there on the bottom. All right. So as you can see here, there's buildings, requests, and I'll just quickly save. And my app is essentially functional now. So I could click on a building. I can see related records for requests. I can go back to, let me go back to my buildings table. I can click on another building and I can see related records. So basically the stuff that you would normally have to do, writing, whether it's SQL, creating essentially foreign key constraints and things like that, this is all built into the mechanism. All right. So that's a basic application that I've done. I might add a little bit more. Just checking on time. Let's see. Let's go ahead and add an action that will allow me to set a record value. So this is, I click on this little icon here, actions. I'll click on plus. And then let's see, add individual buttons. So I could create one from scratch, but I just like these suggestions. And I could actually type in some search terms and it will give that to me for free. But I'm just going to go ahead and let it do its thing. And what I really want is an approve action. And so when the user clicks on this button, which you can now see up here, it's going to set this status record to approved. So I will update a few things. I'm going to make this thing stick out. I'm going to call it like a thumbs up. I'll give it a thumbs up icon, that is. And then I will, as you can see up here, it has thumbs up. And then I don't need a button to set something to pending, so I'm just going to turn that off. This was given to me for free anyway. Okay, so now I have an action that I can take action on. And so if I go back to the approve action, I can see that it's, let's see here, approved. I can set the behavior. Notice that it's only going to appear if the status is set or is not equal to approve. And so we can actually test that out as well. So anyway, as you can see, we have these that are approved, and this one is pending, and we have the approve button. Now, before I click on the button to trigger it, I wanted to show you one other little thing before I move on. I want to show you automations. So automations are super handy. Pretty much every AppSheet application is going to have it. It allows you to trigger off of different events and then execute different types of operations. So, for example, if I update a record, and in this case, I'm just going to use this pre-built one. If a request's record is updated, I can actually send an SMS. But instead of sending an SMS, I'm going to have it just send an email. And I'm going to use a feature called Embedded App View, which actually uses AMP and inserts a portion of my app into the Gmail inbox of the end user, right? And so now all I have to do is just add like who I want it to go to. Typically, I would pull that from a column value, but in this case, I'll just pull it, and I'll show you how you can look up these expressions. I can just type it in very quickly, but I want to grab the user email. I'll click Insert. And that's essentially a function that generates the user email based off of the current user. For a demo, this is good enough. And I can also update that text. Well, you get the idea. And then, so that's almost ready to go. I can check one more thing. Oh, you'll see that it kind of warns you. It says, oh my gosh, you know, it's not deployed yet. It's just going to send an email to the actual user, the owner of the app. And it's like, that's okay. I can just quickly deploy it. So I'm going to click on the deploy icon. You can see I have like a report card on like, do you have app description? Everything is fine. It's just like a few warnings. I'll click on the deployed state. That just basically changes the app to being deployed, but I haven't actually shared it with people. That's a process where I go through here and I can add individual emails, an entire domain. I can have Google groups all inserted into this list here. And also I could take these shareable links. So if I want people to receive a link to install the mobile app on their own phone, I could just email that link and then they'll be able to run it on their phone from then on. And likewise, if you want people just to try out the app, you have the browser link as well. So pretty straightforward stuff, very easy to get started. I think I'm more or less ready to go. I wanted to double check one thing on the automations here. If the request record is updated, I'm going to go ahead and set a condition. I'm going to have the condition be when the status, and I'm using this little data explorer just so you can kind of see how it works, equals. Oops. There we go. All right, so when status equals approved, that condition will be happy. So that's good enough for now. I think I'll hit save. I have some other stuff I was going to show you where I can conditionally set a value of an input field based off of another value by using the relationship. Actually, maybe we'll just go ahead and do that. If I go back to the form here, if I click a plus button, I can see here. Oh, also, this is a signature type, but I can change that data type to be an image. So if I go to my requests, you can see this user image right here is signature. I'm going to change that to image, and then that will allow the end user to actually upload a photo, or on the mobile app, just take a photo of something. All right. So I'm going to drop down here to the building. Now, because I have these two tables linked, building and requests, I can actually use that relationship and pull up a building. There also happens to be an approver or security approver for each building. And what I really want it to do is automatically set that approver based off of that building. So to do that, it's actually pretty trivial. Let me just show you the spreadsheet. So if I look at my buildings, I have this security approver. I want to actually fetch that value into the app itself, right? So to do that, I can go through here, click on approver, and I'll pull up this little icon there, and I'll click on the edit column, and then I want to auto compute an initial value, and I'm using my data explorer window here where I say the building, it's a reference, and it has a link to this buildings table, and I want to select the security approver. So that actually generates an expression. I could also type that out manually, and it will code complete that expression for me, but this is good enough for now. All right, so I'll click save and check out what happens. So I'll hit save here. I can update the input field for buildings. So, and then notice how it changes based off of what the different buildings are for that particular field for the approver. One of our customer engineers, or actually our global CE, customer engineer lead, actually both he and I did an office hours session last week where we actually walked through a more detailed version of this. So I'd highly recommend that you check that out. So just Google the AppSheet office hours and you can see a lot more detail on that one. So anyway, that's probably good enough for now, but I do have my automation that I want to trigger. I want it to send an email. It's going to send an email of the requests data detail form. So to do that, all I have to do is just go in and change one of the records, and that will fire that automation. So to do that, I just click on my little action button there with the thumbs up, and then now it has updated it. And then now I have my, oh, that's my old message. There you go. So there we go. So now I have essentially an automated generated email that came out by setting that action. All right. So hopefully you get the idea of how you can start from a spreadsheet, quickly generate an app, and then essentially go to town and start integrating things. There's other things that I haven't shown. I do have some more demos that I'm going to show you very quickly. But before I do that, let me just walk through a few slides. So these are some notable features that we've launched in the past year or so. So the feature that had the little pencil icon, I was able to drill down very quickly onto each UI component and then go to the properties. So it saves a ton of time. So we just launched that this quarter, actually. So as you saw, I could very quickly go to the columns table or whatever. AppSheet database, this is actually a more strategic move where we actually have integrated a Cloud Spanner-based database into AppSheet itself. Whereas previously, you always had to connect to an external spreadsheet or Excel or Cloud SQL for that matter. So this is now a native database. The analysts are very happy to see that as well. So. We integrated chat, so you can have your application be accessible via a Google chatbot. And all you have to do is turn on a chat enable. Essentially, it's a setting. You turn it on. You can do a few customizations like setup / commands. And then you essentially, in your chat environment, you can install the chat agent or the chat bot for the application and you can interact with it. Workspace Core. So later, or I would say in July, we actually rolled this out. And if you already are a Workspace customer, pretty much you're guaranteed you're going to have AppSheet Core. Now, Core is kind of middle of the line of the functionality, but it allows a lot of people who haven't actually had official access to AppSheet to now come on board. So we actually put that out in July of this year. This is another feature that we just rolled out yesterday. So we have a Workspace Updates blog post about it, but this is the thing where I mentioned you could take a component of your app, the view, the full URL, paste it into a Google Doc, and then it'll render just like any other smart chip would, but then you can have embedded data inside your Google Doc coming from your AppSheet application. So just Google AppSheet smart chips, and you'll see the blog post that we put out yesterday. Duet AI. So hopefully you've heard about Duet AI and essentially all the work that we're doing at Cloud Next. We made a big show of it. We have two key features. One is a chat-enabled application builder where you essentially use language where you can type in the type of app that you want. And then we also have Duet AI in AppSheet apps. And this is actually really cool. So like when you're filling out forms, instead of actually having to type things out, you can actually just hit the little microphone button and talk to it. It'll essentially do it, a speech to text, and it will do a natural language transformation, and then it will pick out the data fields that make sense, and then it will allow you to make updates to your forms. All right. So I have one small demo remaining, but I'm just going to jump right into it. This is a demo that we showed at Cloud Next. It has all the stuff that I was shown before. It has automations where it triggers applications, it triggers chat messages. And I'm just going to kick it off really quickly. And so I'm going to say, hey, DevFest, yay. And by virtue of clicking save, it's going to trigger an email through the automation that was set up. There's my email. And then, as you can see, it's embedding the content there. I can say, okay, let's go ahead and bump up the budget. I can click approved. There we go. And I'll hit submit. And once that's done, it'll trigger another automation that then sends a chat message because I've actually enabled this app for chat. And so there you go. And I can actually walk through the whole process there, just interacting entirely with chat. Now, hopefully I have a few more minutes. If you guys are interested, I can show you Duet AI. I see, no, nobody wants to see it? Okay, I will show it. No, just kidding. No, it's a pretty fun feature to show. So Duet AI, if you may have heard, it's one of our Duet AI for Workspace. We have essentially enabled the ability to create applications through text. And I'm just interacting with the chat bot here. So we have this Duet AI in AppSheet where I can tell it what I want. So in this case, I happen to have some text here that I want to essentially create the same app that I just showed you, create a logistics project tracking app with dependent assets and vendors. So it will take that bit of text and say, okay, let's go ahead and start to generate a schema based off of that. All right, so now that I have my app, I can actually do a few more things. I can add, say, a notification. So this will generate that automation that I had before. So whenever a project record is updated, it will then send a notification. All right, so once I've done that, I can click Create App, and then it will set up a new app, which is essentially similar to the more advanced app that I showed you. It will set up like the schemas. It will also have that automation to update the end user in this case. All right, so once this renders itself, I can just walk through very quickly that we have, the automation. It will send an email because I specified. I have my data here. I have projects, assets, vendors, and such. And if I go here and add a new record, it will then fire off an email. So let's just do that really quickly. I'll just put garbage. And I guess I'll make it happy with a date too. All right. So I now should be triggering that automation. Here we go. That was the automation email that got generated. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully you can get an idea that with just a few chat instructions, I was able to walk through the capability here and have it create an app that begins to resemble the more fully cooked version of the app. So anyway, hopefully that was interesting, gave you a bit of insight into what we've been working on. I want to leave this final sheet slide here with you. If you want to, the Duet AI preview, you can definitely sign up for that. It's actually a larger form, so you can pick from different preview technologies. If you're interested in learning more about AppSheet, AppSheet.com is fine, but you can go here and get the QR code, and that's the docs. And also there's a community as well, so you can join the community and just see what's going on with all the stuff in the community. And then other than that, unless anyone else wanted to take a final picture, but pretty straightforward, just Google AppSheet or go to appsheet.com and you can immediately start playing with AppSheet. And yeah, I think that's about it. Hopefully that was helpful. Was that helpful, Wes? Oh, that's good. You were cancer. Thank you. Thank you.